North champion Bears still unsure about who will protect Caleb Williams' blind side. 4 players remain in the mix to claim the left tackle spot with less than 3 weeks until the start of the season. This is a sneaky, enormous story in the NFL. Here's Ben Johnson.
It's a hot spot for us. Obviously, we talk about it almost every time I'm up here, and yet I don't know that we are 100% sold on who that guy's going to be for Carolina yet. We're going to still work through it. That's where today's going to be huge for us. Thursday's going to be huge for us, and Saturday's going to be huge for us as well.
This is not a good place to be if you are the Bears. And if you've been watching the show over the summer, I know, everyone's schedule is a little different sometimes. I want to be super high on the Bears because I love the combination of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. But everything about the defense, including the significant injury to Kobe Bryant, their big acquisition, and now they got problems on both sides of their offensive line. This is a little bit of nervous time for these Bears.
Yes, if there's a sliver of hope to be, Ozzie Trapillo, who's a very capable guy who tore a patella tendon, was taken off of PUP, so hopefully he'll be ready to go sooner rather than later, because they certainly could have kept him on there for the first 4 games. So without question, this is a massive concern. I do think Ben Johnson, when you talk to people about defending Sean McVay when they don't have a great line, he can kind of cover up for it. I think Ben Johnson has that ability to be a quick game, certainly slide protection, but going into the season with a franchise quarterback, left tackle is not the question you want to have.
The most popular phrase I hear around the Bears sometimes from people like you, Clarky, and I don't mean that accusingly, is candidate for regression. All right?
Yeah.
Do you believe the Bears are on that list?
I'm not on the Bill Barnwell ready to put them in the bottom 5 regression candidates. Ben Johnson mentioned it recently that everybody's talking about them being a regression. But to me, offensive line was the biggest part of the story last year. You had a guy like Drew Dahlman at center instantly change that line. He retired. We've got the injuries up front. Caleb Williams still holds on to the ball for far too long. In fact, it was some of the longest time to pass in the history of football last year. He's going to keep doing it. That's his game. You mentioned quick game. He doesn't like doing quick game. He likes being able to see everything come there. So I think you got to have the offensive line settled. And if not, they're going to regress.
Yeah, you know what? I think that Caleb's going to evolve, though. I do believe that playing within structure, playing on time in rhythm, that's been a big point of emphasis when it comes to Ben Johnson and the way in which he has communicated this to Caleb. And there's plenty of snaps last year that you see him do it, but you're right. It needs to become a little bit more of a commonplace thing for him. Look, the bigger question for me is this. Look, Darnell Wright went down. Their all-pro right tackle went down with an elbow injury in practice just the other day. There's no clarity, like real definitive clarity is about what his status is going to be. But you're right. As these injuries keep piling up, and in particular on the offensive line, if you have issues at both offensive tackle positions and the changeover at center, that was a strength for them last year. Their offensive line moved people off the line of scrimmage. You remember that Philadelphia game last year when they went into Philadelphia and just absolutely was demoing that defensive line? That's what their hallmark is. This is a very scary situation for Chicago right now, because as much as we all love them and love the fact that, look, Ben Johnson here, second year with Caleb Williams, Luther Burden, the tight end room, look, there's a lot to be optimistic about. But as we know, injuries are the great equalizer, and that's what could be their downfall this year. I am with you. I do not like this. Look, teams are just going to naturally regress just because they are. I don't believe that. But when you don't have your best players, this could be an issue.
Yeah. I think the reason they regressed, though, another key stat, they forced 33 turnovers.
Yeah.
That bailed them out of a lot of bad defensive drives.
Without a pass rush.
Without a pass rush. That is really hard to replicate.
And they won all these late games. I mean, they won all these games that they were losing at the very end, and Caleb pulled one miracle out of another.
But see, in the end, what ultimately determines whether a team regresses or not is whether or not your team is better. Period. From a personnel standpoint.
Better?
And if people, well, they won't be if people keep getting hurt. If guys like Darnell Wright can't get on the football field and Kobe Bryant, guys, you keep losing people like that, you're going to regress. That's what's going to ultimately do them.
I love this coach so much. I mean, I love everyone's talking about them regressing, and he's talking about breaking the scoring record. I mean, that's the kind of coach I want on my team. But some of this has been a very rough little last month for them. Coming up.